welcome to Royally Unfiltered, the show that takes you behind palace gates like never before. This is where tradition meets truth and nothing is off limits. This week, helping me tackle all the biggest headlines is royal author Duncan Larcombe and royal correspondent Cameron Walker. Thank you both for being here. Duncan, I think my tongue had a seizure there while I was saying your name. You know I know how to say your name, right?
It didn't sound like it to me, Kinsey. It sounds fine.
Well, I'm still trying to recover from that Meghan Markle video that I was trying to not make you guys react to. I was like, we're going to do something else. We're going to do something different. But the reaction has been so wild. Cameron, I'm going to ask you first. I I hesitated to share the video because I thought it was a AI parody. Meghan had been hacked. Like, I could not believe that it was real. I could not believe that it was real. And after a while of it staying up, I realized that it was real. Did you have the same hesitation when you saw that video? Like, oh, I better not respond too soon because there's something off about this.
Do you know, it's really funny that you thought it was AI, Kinsey, because my mum, of all people, texted me and said, surely this isn't true. This must be AI. And I hadn't seen the video by the time she had watched it. So I went on Meghan's Instagram, watched the video, and I couldn't quite believe it in one sense, because as you say, it is so unlike a duchess to do something like that within the hospital room. But also, on the other hand, it's like, gosh, something in Prince Harry's memoir Spare is true, because he actually mentions the fact that he did this baby mama dance within his memoir Spare 2 years ago. But of course, we're seeing it now in record on Meghan's Instagram. What I would love to know the answer to is whether Prince Harry authorized Meghan to post that video into the public domain, because although he's no longer a working member of the royal family, he is still fifth in line to the throne. And if there's any hope of him wanting maybe one day to do more royal gigs, reconcile with his brother, reconcile with his father, it's these kind of instances which he's going to really struggle to come back from, because those kind of videos are going to stick in the public mind.
They really, truly are. Duncan, is this how you would celebrate your 4-year-old's birthday, with a video of she's honoring Lily allegedly, but it's a video of her in the hospital. Lily has yet to arrive. That felt a little suspicious to me, that she's like, happy birthday, Lily. Also, here's me.
Yeah, isn't that classic, Meghan? Yeah, yeah. I want to celebrate something and let's make it about me. I've been watching some of the responses to this video, and one theme arrives. It seems as it's tacky, it's cheap, it's absolutely ridiculous. A couple that value their privacy release something like that. I watched it and I thought, what on earth are you doing? This is just madness. And I think that seems to be how it's, certainly over here, how it's been received. It's just, this couple can only make my jaw hit the floor so many times. And yet again, they've done it. I can't believe they've released a video like that. They look ridiculous.
Cameron, unfortunate timing when stories are also circulating about the cost of Prince Harry challenging the government for security. He's saying, I feel like my family's in jeopardy. That people do translate the security talk into privacy talk. And I don't know if that's fair. I don't know if I don't have an opinion on whether or not it's fair. I think I probably am one of the people that say, if you're so worried about security, maybe you should be tighter with your privacy. It is kind of unfortunate to drop this video around the same time that we're finding out how expensive that fight was. And, Harry, put your money where your mouth is, or actions speak louder than words. If you are worried about security, shouldn't you guys just tighten up in general and maybe stop oversharing?
Well, yeah, it's reportedly costing £100,000, a security bill, to the British taxpayer. The Home Office obviously paying their lawyers to fight the case, which Harry has lost at the moment. He lost his court case in the Court of Appeal. Look, I mean, Meghan on her Instagram before the video was posted did post very tasteful, nice images of her
Lily's
and
forehead.
Princess Elizabeth.
Lily's forehead. Her forehead.
Lily's forehead, her forehead, and then you had a baby Princess Lilibet with Prince Harry as well on a
Yeah.
second grid post. And then we got the video. And I think when Harry and Meghan stood back as working members of the royal family and they said, we want privacy, obviously widely mocked around the world. So I'm thinking South Park, I'm thinking, several other TV shows, American TV shows, mocking that. I think what they actually wanted was control of the narrative and control of the media. And Meghan has her newly launched Instagram account now. She can post whatever the hell she likes, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. There's nothing the palace can do about it either. But as you point out, Kinsey, there is this contradiction really in the public's eyes as to you putting out a lot of your private, intimate moments on the internet. She's literally posting a video in the room, we're led to believe, of where she gave birth to Princess Lilibet. You don't see the Princess of Wales posting videos of her birthing suite in the Lindo wing, for example. So there is that contrast that we're seeing here. And I think it's the culture thing. Again, it's the Hollywood celebrity angle of Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, and of course the royal family even, and how that clashes.
That's a great point. Duncan, kind of related to Cameron's point, you named your daughter Lilibet, Princess Lilibet, after the Queen. And you use the word tacky when describing this labor video. I would feel like I tiptoe in the way that I did anything in relation to the Queen. She's talking about her daughter who shares her name with the Queen. I do think that I would be especially careful to make sure that everything I did in relation to this child that shares this, very sacred name, I would want to make sure I honored the Queen in everything I did with Lily.
Well, I think Cameron's right when he says, ultimately you wonder what on earth Harry and Meghan will stop at. They're showing private, incredibly private moments as a couple when they're a couple that have campaigned and complained about the lack of privacy that they have. It's I think the palace will be looking at it just thinking, what on earth planet are they living on right now? And I'm sorry, I know it sounds unfair, but they're not the Kardashians, for goodness sake. They're supposed to be members of the royal family, or they'll certainly trade off that when they can. And this just reduces them, frankly, I think, to a laughing stock.
Duncan, I meant to ask you after Cameron's comments about Prince Harry, and did Meghan have Prince Harry's permission to share this? I think it was you that said that, Cameron.
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah. You spent a lot of time with Prince Harry. You spent a lot of time with Prince Harry talking about the difficult circumstances he was in. Duncan, sure. What is your reaction when you hear Cameron ask that question? Do you think, no way?
Well, I think I say what I always say, really, in terms of Prince Harry. He wanted to escape this sort of public scrutiny and what he has always described as the baggage of being born into the royal family. He doesn't need to be famous. He doesn't want to be famous. He doesn't need to be rich. He was rich. He was born rich. You have to think this just purely suits the "let's look at me, I'm Meghan Markle" narrative. I don't see what on earth else Harry has to gain by releasing a video like this, which basically makes him, well, I'll be as polite as I can, but it makes them look like a couple of fools.
I thought you were going to say an epic dancer. I was waiting for that comment, but I should have known better from you, Duncan. Cameron, I want to talk to you about this cover of People magazine. The headline is "Prince Harry and King Charles Rift Won't Heal. The Issue is Trust." And I don't know. I feel like this is a no-brainer to people that cover this regularly. The idea that there is just so much pain that still exists within the royal family on both sides, Prince Harry and the King. Valentine Lowe, which I thought was interesting in the piece, said that he did not feel like Prince Harry's BBC interview was an attack on the royals, but he said that the royals certainly would feel that it was. What is your reaction to that? And as a royal reporter, how did you respond to the BBC interview? Did you take to heart Prince Harry saying, I'd love to reconcile with my family? And at the same time, did you think, well, this is probably not the way to do it? Or did you feel like there was an aggression there and a resentment there that almost made the I'd like to reconcile with my family comment off at the very end of the interview irrelevant?
I think when it comes to Valentine Lowe's comments suggesting that he probably didn't do it to attack the royal family, I think that's probably correct. But I think Prince Harry's issue, if you can call it that, time and time again, is he speaks before he thinks.
Yeah.
He lashes out, he throws his toys out the pram or whatever, and then he deals with the consequences after the fact. So I think in Prince Harry's mind when he was doing the interview, obviously I don't know what was in his mind completely, but I can probably hazard a guess as to the kind of mindset he was in. He just lost the case, which I suspect from speaking to those in the know, he thought was a distinct possibility before he lost his appeal over his security. Then he does this BBC interview trying to put his points across, and he feels like the only way he could get his points across was by doing this big media interview. Again, regurgitating a line that he feels he cannot keep his family safe by when he brings them to the UK, that the state, the establishment, is out to get him, out to punish him for leaving as a working member of the royal family. Again, citing the King's Principal Private Secretary, Sir Clive Alderton, that he's on the Rabbit Committee, which made the decision to downgrade his security, and alleging or suggesting that there's some kind of bias within that committee. So he wanted to get all of that across on national television. The problem is, as all of that's going on, there's also fallout from that. So the fact that he said, I don't know how much longer my father has, he was probably just speaking off the cuff there. But of course, all of us know that the king is still undergoing a weekly cycle of cancer treatment. And reading between the lines, that suggests to us and everybody watching that he doesn't know how much longer his father has left to live.
Right.
And then it again raises the question of the king's health, the king's cancer, something which he and his team, they've given as much information as they want to give us, and they want the rest to remain private. And the fact his youngest son is adding oxygen to the fire and making the speculation bigger is not going to help with the trust between the king and Prince Harry. And I think there was a suggestion, a few months ago, that Harry was just focusing on philanthropy, and maybe that is a way to start to get some olive branches going to reconcile with the king. Since that BBC interview happened, and to answer your second point, Kinsey, what was I thinking during the interview? It was shock, because I remember literally running into the studio every 5 minutes because Harry had dropped another bombshell and was having to analyze it live on air, being like, I'm sorry, I literally have never seen anything like this, because I hadn't. But also it's cut out any olive branches, I think. And it's going to be very difficult for Prince Harry to reconcile with the king or his brother, because there isn't any trust there. How can the king or William speak to Harry privately and not worry about what is said ending up in the public domain one day?
Very, very good point. And Duncan, Prince Harry, this piece talks about how there's really not a lot of support around King Charles when it comes to a reconciliation. They say that Prince William has shown no interest in extending an olive branch, and even Queen Camilla, who Prince Harry kind of tore into in Spare, stays out of it. I mean, I feel like King Charles doesn't need cheerleaders around him. He seems like the type of person that if he wants something, he will pursue it with or without support. But to Cameron's point, maybe he really is just so protective of what's going on in with his health right now that it's for his own, sanity and his own health that he tries to avoid all drama. Do you have an opinion on that?
Well, I think Cameron again is right. I mean, you can't. How can King Charles or Prince William, for that matter, reach out to Harry when there's every chance what they say will be broadcast by Harry. And you know, once the trust has gone, it's gone. How do you re-earn it? Oh, well, tell me something, Daddy, or Papa, whatever he calls him, and give it 6 months, and I'll show you that I don't break your privacy and don't break. It's gone. The royals work on the basis that if you break that circle of trust once, you've broken it forever. That's the value that, let's be honest, Harry treated his own friends like when Harry was a real royal. You know, he one strike and you're out. There's no second chances. And yet, you know, Harry has shown with that BBC interview in particular, I think Karen's right, there was a long period where he hadn't actually spoken out about the royals, where it almost looked like he was ready to come back into the fold. He gives the BBC interview and blows that to pieces, you know. So there's no coming back for Harry if he carries on like this. You know, a long period of time has to go through where Harry shows that he can be trusted and that he is discreet, and that he is willing to engage with his brother and his father without broadcasting it. And let's be honest, and this is a horrid thing to say, but make money out of it. It's money, it's attention, it's part of Harry's brand.
Yeah, the first few pages of Spare, reliving Prince Philip's funeral and the semi-intervention where Prince William is like, please, can we discuss this? You know, that's something that we probably shouldn't be privy to right now. Cameron, you mentioned, this is unrelated, but sort of related to what's happening in the current news cycle. So you mentioned, and you're absolutely right, this string of stories about how Prince Harry was going to go the charity route. And this not only was really a space where he was super confident, but this was also going to be a way for him to maybe work his way back into the royal fold. They were going to see his value. They were going to see that he's living this life of service. And hopefully by seeing his strengths there and Harry and Meghan no longer throwing any grenades their way, the royals might, you know, start to soften around the idea of Harry coming back in some way, shape, or form, even if it's just as a family member that they can love on and confide in. However, we just heard that Prince Harry is expected to launch this mystery commercial venture. And there's been debate around that. I'm like, maybe it's an alcohol company. Every celebrity in LA has an alcohol company. I don't know what it is. I have no clue. But I want to ask you about this yo-yo when it comes to Harry and Meghan professional news, because philanthropy, commercial venture. Meghan says that she's pausing as ever. This week, she announces that she's restocking with a brand new product. What if you are a fan of the Sussexes? What does this unstable communication do to you? Because I feel like the instability frustrates me as a consumer.
It's really tricky. I mean, from somebody who is a royal journalist rather than a Sussex fan or even a William and Catherine fan, it looks to me from the outside that Harry and Meghan are throwing mud at the wall and seeing what sticks and seeing what works. And if something looks like it's not working properly, they're going to quickly change it and go off in this other direction. And I think that creates an issue from a public relations point of view, because the question then becomes, well, what is your brand? What is your unique selling point? What is the point of you? Because they left as working members of the royal family. They said they wanted to be financially independent. They said they wanted to do things their way. And to be fair, they are. But they're not really sticking with anything, or they're forced to not stick with anything. I think because of Meghan's backgrounds before she met Prince Harry, launching the TIG, the lifestyle brand blog, and being a former actress and not being born into the royal family, she can get away and probably is more viable when it comes to launching a business like As Ever and doing a podcast and things like that. I think if Harry starts going down the same route, as I said earlier, he's still fifth in line to the throne. Even if it's unintentional, it's going to give the perception that he's capitalizing in cashing in on his royal status. And that would be a huge problem. So I think from a PR perspective, I think it would be unwise if he went down that commercial route. Where Prince Harry does really well, and Meghan to some extent, is the philanthropy that they do. So Prince Harry with his Invictus Games, Harry and Meghan's joint campaign to make the internet a safer place for children by launching their Parents Network. You know, it's hard to criticize the couple for stunts like that, for philanthropy and charity work like that. But the problem is, there's not enough of it. It's not consistent either, because they're going down all these other routes, like doing the interview with the BBC because he's annoyed about his security situation, and obviously chopping and changing the As Ever brand when it comes to Meghan.
It is difficult to criticize Harry and Meghan for online bullies, but I'm willing to do it because seeing that Chrissy Teigen is on season 2 of With Love Meghan after telling a teenage girl to go off herself on the internet through private messages and on Twitter is like, do you not read the room? People are going to bring up this old harassment that your guest is harassing a child on the internet. This goes completely against what you're preaching. And I think
Then I think it's lack of research, isn't it? Again, because we saw the same thing with the As Ever logo being a logo of a Spanish town.
American
No
Riviera
research.
Orchard. Can't use that name. It's this lack of due diligence. Duncan, when you think about this, Cameron's right. I mean, Sussex fans, no Sussex fans, whatever, as a consumer, whatever. As a royal reporter, it actually gets really frustrating when we report one day, Meghan says she's taking a step back from As Ever. It makes me feel like a liar when I have to go back the next day and say, okay, well, Meghan posted on Instagram that she's got to restock, despite saying to Fast Company magazine that she's not going to have any new products till 2026, or she's going to pause her brand. It's very frustrating as a reporter to deal with this as well.
Well, that's it. You're trying to keep up with what it is the two of them stand for. I mean, on the one hand, they do some great work and support great causes. Well, that's what the royal family do. But then on the other hand, everything's commercial and it's about making money. It's about the brand. It's about selling pots of jam. You know, that's just it. How can you have both your cake and eat it? And it seems that I think, you know, the credibility of them as a couple hinges on the fact they're so inconsistent with what they say. Their messaging is so confused, and they keep employing new people to come and look after them. And you have to think, well, what is going? Who's in control of this? Is this really just the Meghan show, or are they members of the royal family trying to do good work, trying to make a difference? And you know, without that clarity, they've been like this now for years, several years, and then they wonder why they're not as popular as they could have been. It's bizarre.
It is. They need to call you, Duncan. You could give them some guidance. But Cameron, one word that Duncan just used was like this inconsistency. One thing that is incredibly consistent is Harry and Meghan somehow, whether it's intentional or not, finding a way to overshadow royal milestones. And this weekend, while everybody's going to be celebrating, not this weekend, next weekend, while everybody's going to be celebrating Trooping the Color, the King's birthday parade, Meghan Markle is going to be accepting another glossy certificate, award, something. She's the guest speaker. She's the guest of honor at a gorgeous red carpet event in LA. She's being awarded for championing. I can never say this word, championing women and underserved communities at the Natural History Museum in Los Angeles. This is the same day as the King's birthday parade. Sometimes do you wish they would just say no? Like, let the king have his day. Let the king have his moment. We're going to get this gorgeous balcony shots. We're going to get Prince Louis. We love Prince Louis. Like, do you ever just think that, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say it's a lack of due diligence, which you're absolutely right. It probably is. She probably doesn't even think about it. But sometimes I just wish they would say, no, I'm going to sit this one out.
Yeah, I mean, you took the words out of my mouth. I think a bit, but she probably didn't realize when she accepted it. She was in her own little world thinking about herself rather than what the royal family were doing, which is trooping the colour. So I don't think there was any malice in it when she accepted this award. But it's just, Kinsey, 2, 3 weeks after the King, and I was with the King in Canada, covering him opening the Canadian Parliament there, at the same time that his son Harry was in Singapore attending a sustainable tourism conference. Again, it's the clashing and the perceived overshadowing of the main royal events, which does not go down well with Harry and Meghan's critics and those online. So I think it's unfortunate. I don't think it was deliberate, but the same thing keeps on happening where the narrative is that Harry and Meghan are overshadowing yet another royal event. But if I was a betting man, Kinsey, I would predict on the Sunday morning it will be the Princess of Wales and the King and other members of the royal family on the front pages of UK newspapers rather than Meghan Markle. I would be very surprised if it was Meghan.
Duncan, I'm sure you've read the stories about this new, well, you referenced them earlier, this new royal court that Harry and Meghan are trying to establish in Montecito, this team of 11, and their job is to rehabilitate their image. Would you advise that team to look at the royal family's calendar and say, you know what, let's try not to clash with the royals, because we don't like the narrative that we're trying to one up them every time they have something, whether it's a child's birthday or something as big and bold and traditional as trooping. Wouldn't it be in their best interest to try to kill that story and that narrative that these two are always looking to outshine the royals, which is also something Harry and Meghan accused the royal family of accusing them of in their Netflix series?
Yes, that's absolutely right. I think as advisors, they've got their work cut out. I mean, let's be honest, Harry and Meghan are not very popular at all when it comes to the royal order of the Garter, if you like, in terms of their popularity is in the swamps. So you'd think one of the basics would be, right, let's not try and clash with a big royal set piece event. I mean, the trooping of the colour that you mentioned, you know, that's not something that they wouldn't have been aware of. It happens every year. It's the official celebration of the monarch's birthday. Why on earth would you accept an invitation to some event knowing full well that that was in the diary, and you don't want to be accused by your critics of clashing? And I think it probably goes to the heart of Harry and Meghan's attitude when it comes to, they simply don't seem to care. That it's almost as though, you know, they'll do whatever it is they want when they want to do it, and to hell with everybody else in their family. So if you were advising them, I think you'd have to be quite a brave advisor to stick your neck out on the chopping block and say to them, guys, what are you doing? We can't do that on that day because blah, blah, blah. And, you know, advisors, there's a fine line in the world of the royals between an advisor, and this goes back beyond Henry VIII, frankly. There's a fine line between a royal advisor being a yes man who just basically is there to fluff the pillows and do, you know, do the right thing, and an advisor who actually has some clout that says, guys, no, this isn't the right time to do it. My advice is this, blah, blah, blah. So they can surround themselves with whoever they want, but until they surround themselves with people that they're prepared to listen to, there's really no point. They might as well just be on their own.
Last but not least, Cameron, I know that this, to me, this is an exciting story. I hope you actually get to be here. Let me know. I think that would be fun to follow you around on social media while you're doing this. Will you be able to see Prince William with Duchess Sophie when they go to the Royal Cornwall show on Friday?
Yeah, unfortunately, A, I'm not on the rota for that gig, and B, I'm actually moving house, so I can't be down in Cornwall. I
A
really
little
wish I.
personal news.
Little personal news. Yes, I really wish I could though, because it looked like an amazing event. the Prince of Wales is his first time going to that show as the Duke of Cornwall, so that's pretty exciting. But I think for William, his message really over the last year, and I have been on several farms with him over the last couple year or so, it's about mental health and rural mental health, which kind of has been forgotten, I think, a little bit in recent years. Farmers really are experiencing loneliness. It's long hours, and a lot of their yield and a lot of their success is actually down to, you know, the elements, the weather and such like. So Prince William can be championing that. I think Duchess of Edinburgh, Sophie, she's my favourite royal because I think she's the most underrated. And just a small little charity that she's patron of, she is going to champion down there as well alongside Prince William. So it's going to be lovely to see.
Duncan, this is probably not a popular thing to say out loud, but between Duchess, Sophie, and Zara, I kind of get my Princess Diana fix. They're so chic. They seem full of empathy and compassion. They have cheeky, like they both have a cheeky sense of humor. You catch them laughing at inappropriate times, and it's just the sweetest thing I mean, it's not twerking in a delivery room, but it's just the sweetest. They have just a little bit of naughtiness in them that I feel like I get my fill when it comes to a glamorous royal rebel that I can really admire. Now, Catherine is a goddess. I know that, you know, Catherine is a goddess. I'm not excluding her from this. I love Catherine. But when it comes to Duchess Sophie, I really just feel like she's got such a great spirit. And I think she's the perfect fit when it comes to Prince William matching up with someone else because they're both so youthful and can be so free-spirited sometimes, which is interesting talking in comparison to Harry and Meghan. But they do seem really personable, like really great personable individuals.
Yes, and I think you share that view with the late Queen. I mean, her relationship with Sophie was very close, particularly in all the nightmares of lockdown. Sophie came forward as the Queen's. I won't say favourite, but you know, certainly.
It's okay. It's fine. Well, you're replacing Harry there, so go ahead.
Yeah. You know, Sophie had a very rough ride when she first joined the royal family and married Prince Edward. She was exposed by a newspaper and there was a big scandal. But ever since then, she sort of quietly just got on with the job, and the crowds really warm to her when she's on a royal engagement. And I think it's great to see her, or it will be great to see her alongside Prince William, who's obviously, when it comes to the royals, an A-list performer. To see the two of them actually working together and drawing attention to their own charities and their own causes, I think that's hopefully the start of something really quite special.
Absolutely. All right. Is there anything else either one of you wanted to mention before we step away and have to go to our therapy sessions after witnessing the Meghan Markle video?
Well, I might do some pregnancy twerking or whatever you call it, because I spoke to my daughter when she saw that. My daughter's 13, and she was, "Daddy, what on earth is Meghan?" So I think that's sort of the highlight of the week in terms of the royals. But Cameron probably won't agree.
Well, I mean, I'd just love to know what this fourth grid post is going to be. Are we going to get the actual birth going on in video 4? Who knows? I mean, we've got some photos and we've got the twerking, so we'll see. I doubt it though.
Cameron, I had a couple of people say to me, "Oh, so this has always been her plan. She's always wanted to be an influencer," because I know this video trended years ago on TikTok. But I'm wondering if she recorded it for Netflix, because at the time they were doing a lot of personal recording for one of two versions of the Netflix series. Does your intuition or do your instincts tell you this was for personal play, like they just wanted to lay in bed one day and laugh about this video? Or when you look at that, do you go, Harry and Meghan, Netflix, bombshell docuseries, one of Netflix's biggest docuseries? Do you have an opinion about whether she ever expected to release that video when she recorded it?
Yeah, that hadn't crossed my mind since you've asked me the question, but I suppose it is similar in the sense that we saw the documentation even of the so-called freedom flight that Prince
Mhm.
Harry and Meghan were on when they left London to be a working member, to not be working members of the royal family, films for Netflix. So it wouldn't be completely silly to think that it could well have been originally purposed for Netflix. Netflix either decided not to use it, or Harry and Meghan decided not to give it to Netflix to use in the series, and then Meghan decided to release it at this later date. So it's a possibility. I mean, they can do what they like. They've got phones. They're their own people, no longer working members of the royal family. But obviously, it's got mixed opinions, hasn't it, online?
It really has. It really, truly has. All right, royal author Duncan Larkham, thank you so much for your time today. Royal correspondent Cameron Walker. And to the viewer, agree with us, disagree with us, let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend, especially a sassy friend. We'll see you next time.